You excited? And So, Matty, here we are, mate. We're into episode number 5. Can you believe it, Matty? We're rocking and rolling, pushing these episodes, helping agents out in the marketplace.
Great feedback, Klaus.
Yeah, we have.
Really good.
Yeah,
really excited to help people.
Yeah, and we really appreciate your feedback on our social media platforms. But, Matty, this could not all be possible without the man with the glasses and that beautiful, hunky, funky, punky hat he's got. Our mate Clinton from Sprinkler.media, which is, you might want to go and check his website out because he does some amazing videos and he works with a lot of agents in the industry, but also now, hey, the podcasting
Klaus,
space.
you know you can tell someone's really good when you don't even know they're there. You had to remind me I was being videoed here.
So true, so true. All right, Matty, let's get into the next call. We've got Audwin from Win Real Estate.
Let's do it.
In Melbourne, Victoria. Do you know much about Mulgrave?
I don't know it too well, but we'll hear some more about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be interesting with our friend Audwin from Win Real Estate in Mulgrave, Victoria.
Hello, Claudio.
Audwin, hello, my friend. Listen, welcome to the Mentors. You've got Matt Lahood and myself, mate.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Audwin, how are you?
Good.
What's the weather doing today in Melbourne?
It's a bit unpredictable.
No.
It's a bit muggy at the moment.
What's there? Love it.
No, and tell me, Audwin, mate, we're on the Mentors here. We're going to ask for your pressing question. Before we go there, tell us a little bit about your marketplace and a little bit how many transactions you do a year. And yeah, we understand you're from Mulgrave. What's the average sale price in Mulgrave there at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment, median price is about 100,000. So the units are about 750. Normal houses about $900,000. So you probably need about 850 to 900 to be able to get into the suburb.
And Audwin, are you predominantly auction or for sale market?
So 80% we sell through auction.
Yep.
And I am the principal, yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Awesome. And tell us how long you've been in business for, Audwin. How long have you had Win Real Estate going for?
Yeah, so we actually celebrating our 3rd year anniversary next month. So We've been in business for about 3 years.
Congratulations, mate. 3 years. That's awesome. Well done. You've achieved heaps. Okay, Audwin, it's time. Bring us your pressing question, my friend. What is it?
All right. So my question is about pricing at the listing presentation.
Sorry, we just missed that. Sorry, what did you say about the listing presentation? Say again, please. Repeat that.
Yeah. So my question is about pricing of the property at the listing presentation.
Yep. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So as we all know, the market is changing a little bit at the moment in Sydney and Melbourne. So some of the vendors are still expecting higher price than what the property is really worth.
Yep.
So usually I attack the pricing by giving them a few comparables in the area.
Yep.
And I give the authority back to them and asking them, what do you think, where do you see your property sits at based on these 3 comparables that I've shown you?
Yep. Beautiful. Okay. And does that style tend to work for you?
Lately, it hasn't worked.
Right. Okay.
Usually, lately, the pressure is coming back to me.
Yes.
After we had a discussion about the comparables, they often come back to me and ask me the question, so do you think you can get $1 million for my property?
Right.
So my question is that, how do you respond to that without upsetting them? Because I feel in the last few listing presentations, I upset a few people and I was behind. I was on the back wheel again, trying to build rapport again after I give them the wrong price.
In terms of price, yeah. Matty, mate, we've got to say this.
Yeah,
there's a lot of agents right at this moment going into listing presentations.
It's always a challenge, but one thing in my 30 years of real estate, I don't think I've met an owner that's ever been under the market on their expectations. So that's the industry we're in. So what you have to become really good at is an expert at delivering news, right? So It's interesting when you say you lost rapport. The rapport shouldn't be being built around the price. It should be being built around your reputation and your trust. So you should never, because there's going to be hard conversations you're going to have all the way through the campaign, things that you're not going to like to tell the owner. But my honest approach to it's been, I've been very, very transparent for 30 years. I've told the owners everything, good, bad and ugly. I've even gone to the point of saying to an owner, look, if they said to me, for argument's sake, if I thought it was worth $850 and they were saying, could I get $1 million? I said, if $1 million is out there, I'll be the best person to find it for you. But my view is that it sits at around, if you put a gun at my head today and said, I'm pulling the trigger, I think I can get you $850 to $9. And it's based on evidence. I said, I don't want to give you something I can't do. If you said, get me $1 million, pull the trigger, you'd have to pull the trigger. I'm not going to say I can get you $1 million. So I think you have to be really good at how you deliver it. So you can't lose rapport you shouldn't be losing rapport on price. The conversation shouldn't be built on that, right? So the best way I would think, and I never have a problem with price. It doesn't matter what market I'm in going up, because what I always do, when sounds like you're on the track, I wasn't sure if you're doing this specifically, but I always pick a home that's not as good as theirs, one that's much better, and one that's about exactly comparable. I then put those 3 printed documents with pictures, floor plans, or every bit of information I can get, date they exchange, time. I don't go back any further than 6 months, right? And I usually find something that's on the market now in addition to that information, and I find out what they're quoting on it, and then I bring that for evidence too. So I sit down with them and I say, here are the 3 properties on the market. This one is this one's a smaller block of land than yours, and it has 1 garage, you've got 2. This house here is very similar in land size to yours, has similar features, bedrooms, has the same parking. And this one's a bigger block than yours and has 3-car garage and a pool, which yours doesn't have. And then anyone that's half sort of reasonable will say, okay, right, we get it. They will know, they already know the price, Audwin, before you get there. Just assume they already know the price. Most people today have access to the same data we'd have access to. They can do a core logic report. They can also do you can type prices in Mulgrave and in Google and it'll come up with an average price. You don't need the agent anymore. So assuming they already know the price before you get there, then you don't want to be the biggest liar gets the job. I'd rather not get the job and give it someone else. If you can't get $1 million, let it sit there and you pick it up at $850 6 months later. You know?
It's an expired listing, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, yep. No, definitely.
And the other thing I'd do is I'd get the 3 comparable properties that are on the market right now to theirs, get the quotes off the agent, send an email and get the quotes back on email, like off realestate.com email address, whatever. Take that to them as well and say, look, here's the 3 properties. You see how I'm going to the nth degree to actually show them the evidence? I think it's no good anymore just turning up and half winging it. You got to be like an expert at pricing.
Absolutely, and I think what it also is going to come down to, Woodwin, is really focus on talking to them about the process of how we're going to get to $1 million. Obviously, what Matt sort of said before, he said, look, we're going to be there, and if there's $1 million out there, we'll go out there and get it for you. But he's not going to promise it to them. But what more importantly is understand how price work, but also, we've all heard this right before, like understand how buyer behaviour is in the marketplace. We all know that, if you use an analogy, I find analogies people can relate to. So if you were saying to someone, look, let's price it at this level, what's going to happen is, let's say, for example, when you had a wedding to go to this weekend and you needed a new suit, you needed to go to David Jones to buy this new suit. First thing you do is you see a suit that you really like on the rack, you pick it up off the rack. Apart from looking at the size that's going to fit you, the second thing you're going to see is look for the price. And let's just say that you had a budget of $500, but this suit really caught your eye because it had a beautiful pinstripe, for example, and it was a little bit more than what you were hoping to pay. Let's say it was $699. What happens is eventually you go to the change room because you really want to try it on, see how it fits and looks. You walk out of the change room and you go, wow, this fits and looks amazing. but it's a little bit more than you want to pay. You go from that logical to the emotional, and that's where all the buying is done, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor.
100%.
So what we need to do is get the people through your home. The more people we get through your home, the more conversations that I can talk to them about your home, and then they'll fall emotionally connected with the back pool. They'll fall emotionally connected with the kids' rumpus room. They'll fall emotionally connected, the wife with the kitchen. So this is where, you've got to sort of paint the story and actually use an analogy for them where they can make a connection to what you're trying to achieve. Do you understand? Because a lot of it, if not, then they just get stuck on price, Audwin. So use the analogy of you're going to buy a suit this weekend, or, if you had a wedding to go to, to the Mrs. Vendor, you were thinking about a dress that you wanted to buy and you had a budget. How many times have we all been there, and you've probably been there, where you will just actually pay something more once you've put it on or you've tried it on, even though it's a little bit above your budget? That's the same behaviour that we're going to see when people are going to come through your home, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. So at the end of the day, you know what it is, Audwin? It's really honing in on your explaining to them the process versus the other agent will go in there and saying, yeah, we'll get you $1 million, right? If you spend some time using analogies, uses some storytelling, and really being able to demonstrate, like what Matt said, the facts, the hard facts and evidence of where it sits, and focus more in on the process and have them understand buyer behaviour, they're going to find the connection right there as to what your message and communication you're trying to get across. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, the analogy, I think the story, that was something that I probably was lacking on.
Yep.
And what Matt said about put down the three recent sales, the one that is similar, the one that is higher, the one that is lower, but also with how much the other agent quoted them for.
Yep.
And I think that's important, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Audwin, I would say the best thing you can do, I'm 30 years in the real estate industry. I'm still getting referrals.
How long,
every week.
Matt? How long have you been?
Years.
Oh, my God.
Same as you, man.
How old are you? No, just kidding.
46. There you go. I started when I was 16.
There you go.
So the reality is, Audwin, I've never honestly, on this, I've never told a vendor something I didn't actually believe. I've priced things wrong because I've got them wrong, but I've never actually gone and thought, you know what, this is $1 million. I'm going to tell them 1.2. I've actually said to them, hey, look, if you want 1.2 million, I would suggest not put it on the market. This is my dialogue to vendors. If you want 1.2, I think it's worth 9 to $1 million. What I think you should do, hold on to it. I'll call you when the market hits $1.2 million, and then let's go and put it on the market then.
I like that dialogue. I'll call you when it hits $1 million, 1.2
Yeah,
million.
now that might be that. Then they look at it and they go, well, how long could that be? I said, well, that's your answer. I'm not sure. But what I don't want you to do is damage the property trying it on 1.2, and then we come back and won. And then once it's recorded on the market, that'll take us another year to try and get that price, because once it's recorded today, it's damaged.
Yeah. And what about some dialogue like this, Matty? Even say to them, my job is also here to protect you and protect price on your home. And the worst thing you can do is go with an agent that's going to promise you 1.2 when it's only perhaps maybe worth somewhere between 900 and $1 million, and then tarnish the property, and then second time round going in, you're not going to get the level that you need.
You're exactly right, Kaz. You just got to be authentic and be prepared to lose the business. I don't mind losing business. It's actually a good lesson. Not all business is good business, Audwin.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Has that answered your question today, Audwin, on the mentors?
Yeah, just one more thing. And
no, you only had one question. No, just kidding. You can throw it out there, buddy. You go for it. What is it?
No, I understand all that. Sometimes vendor keep asking you the same questions over and over again, but in a different way. So do you know what I mean, right? So do you give the same answer again and again in a different way?
Can you give me an example?
Give Matt an example.
So the first question was, do you think you can get me $1 million, right? Now the second question probably, I'm not going to sell if you don't get $1 million.
Okay. Well,
or they could say the other agent promised me $1 million, so. Yeah, so they could ask that in a different...
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say to them, first of all, if you don't believe it's worth $1 million, you say, could I have a look at the comparables the other agent gave you? That's the first thing I'd do, right? then if they're not using the agent for leverage, they're using themselves. I want $1 million. You ask them, can I ask you how you arrived at $1 million? Mate, they're very interesting questions to ask because 99% of the time when I ask them, I don't get the answer. And they go, oh, we just want $1 million. I said, well, it doesn't work like that because what if the buyer comes in and only just wants to pay 800?
Yeah, exactly. And what you want and what it's worth are two different things. So I think sometimes actually what Matt is saying here, Audwin, is putting it back on them is not such a bad thing. So how did you, we won't sell if we don't get $1 million. Okay, how did you arrive at $1 million? And let them
And then if
justify.
they say we're not going to sell or we don't need $1 million, we'll say that's what I would do. It's your right to hold on the property. I would hang on to it $1 million. When it gets to $1 million, I'll call you. It's at 850 now. I reckon it could be there in about 2 years. So what's your plans? You happy to hang on for then? And just go that way with it.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you wanted to, Audwin, I mean, what are your suggestions, Matt? Like sometimes, you might say, well, look, why don't we just put our feet in the water? Why don't we just test the market for the next 2 weeks? Get some feedback, quality feedback from 5 buyers that I'm working with that are looking to buy between 800 and 1.2 million. Let's show them your home over the next week. Let's get a reading on it, and then we can make a decision as to where the property should sit. What are your thoughts on that, Matt? Yeah,
look,
I like that.
That's a good approach as well. That way, it's not causing too much collateral damage in the market.
Correct.
Like going to auction or anything like that.
Yeah, and get the market to give you some feedback and just say, look, why don't we get things rolling? Why don't I bring some buys, 800 to say 1.2 million over the next week or so? Then we can get some really good feedback, and from that feedback, we'll get some readings, and we can decide if the home is worth $1 million or not.
Audwin, the best thing I think you could do, which may help you a lot, is if you get some of your owners who totally trust you, that you've had great success for, and video them, get them, ask them the right questions. Like, say, when you came in, you were hoping for this, and, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we got this for you, and this was the process. And so, and they get to say, look, Audwin was very honest. He was the only one... It was the only one that said, that he would get this price, et cetera, et cetera. Other agents came in, they promised us more, and then Audwin delivered. You get them to ask sort all those issues out,
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, my friend Audwin. Mate, we have had great pleasure speaking to you this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Mentors. And if you have any other further questions, drop us a line on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, The Mentors. My friend, thank you for being on episode number 5.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, Mentor.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Thank you, Audwin. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Got something great from this episode? It would mean the world to us if you passed it on. Tune in each week as we mentor a new agent. Have a question? Want to be on the show? Get in touch with Claudio Encina, Matt Lahood, or visit our Facebook page. The Mentors is brought to you by Sprinkler.media.